We live in a world where information is critical in both the public and private sectors. Imagine if a government or a terrorist group was able to hear our military's plans. In the private sector, information is very important and has to be closely guarded. Keeping secrets safe from competition is not an easy task, but with the right equipment and training it is possible.
In this scenario, our executive is hard at work in her office, while our TSCM team is nearby utilizing the equipment to find any audio or video recording devices in the area. We watched the radio frequency spectrum search utilizing an Oscar Green receiver covering the frequency spectrum of between 10 kilohertz and 24 gigahertz. As you can see, it's detecting a video. As it becomes clearer, we see it's of our executive. To determine where the signal is coming from, we must move into the office itself. A wireless camera hunter was then used to confirm the signal was coming from inside her office.
Hey, Vern, you might want to take a closer look at this. Think we have something.
Finally, in order to find the exact location of the device, a wall thermal imaging camera is used. This will detect the thermal signature of any hidden electronic devices. And while we didn't show it, the last step is always a very thorough physical inspection. This includes all interior surfaces, ceilings, furniture, ventilation ducts, lighting fixtures, electrical fixtures, plants, and wall decorations. Also, it's important to note, in most states, recording audio or video of someone without their knowledge and consent is prohibited. We have all seen TV shows and movies where a bug or listening device is planted and information is retrieved. Who knew this really happens? And there's a science on preventing someone from listening in. So how do you receive the best training for that? That's called Technical Surveillance Countermeasures, also known as TSCM. And the way to get that best training is the United States Secret Service. Today we're going to learn how Vernon Newell became one of the country's experts on TSCM. Vern, a former physical security specialist with over 20 years experience in the United States Secret Service and more than 40 years performing TSCM surveys, is going to share some of the highlights of his career.
My contacts that I made in the military allowed me to meet a lot of people in the Secret Service, and the job that I was doing in the military fit exactly what the Secret Service needed. So they actually came and recruited me, and I thought it would be a good career. I knew it was going to be a 20-year career. I could get out in 20 years, so I decided that that would be a good career, and the pay was pretty good.
From 1972 to 1992, Vern worked under the administration of Presidents Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, and Clinton. Vern explained, as a physical security specialist, you are under constant pressure. Your job doesn't only include protecting the president and vice president, you also investigate threats made on their lives. In addition, you provide protection and security planning for visiting foreign dignitaries and security for certain national events.
In 1979, Pope John Paul II came to Philadelphia. He spent 3 days in Philadelphia. As a result of that, we spent months, literally 6 months, planning for the event of John Paul II coming into Philadelphia, to the extent where we actually had to sweep the parade route. We had a parade up Broad Street to City Hall. We popped all the manhole covers on Broad Street. I actually put a guy in a subway car to sweep underneath of Broad Street because the subway ran right underneath Broad Street. We had to make sure there were no bombs or anything there that could harm the Pope. There were many visits to many different locations during that time that he was there. St. Newman's Church, he went to just several different places. So it took quite a bit of planning. That was probably the toughest assignment I had in the Secret Service.
Since its beginning, the Secret Service was also tasked with investigating and preventing counterfeiting. Now that mission has changed with the times to include safeguarding the payment and financial systems, protecting banking from computer-based crimes. The Secret Service utilizes advanced technology along with a multidisciplined forensic and investigative expert and analyst to provide a response that allows for rapid support of criminal investigations. In the 16 years spent in Philadelphia, Vernon Newell was involved in a lot of counterfeit cases. At that time, they were more low-tech and involved actual printed fake money. In the 1970s, under President Nixon's administration, a major political scandal occurred, known as Watergate. Staffers who were connected to President Nixon's re-election campaign were caught wiretapping phones, and stealing secret documents. President Nixon took steps after the fact to cover it up. In July of 1974, the Supreme Court ordered President Nixon to turn over these tapes. Those tapes then landed in the hands of Vernon Newell to make copies.
After Watergate broke, I was interviewed by the special prosecutor, Archibald Cox, and myself and one other guy were designated to make the duplicate tapes of the Watergate tapes. All the Watergate tapes were on reel-to-reel, and they wanted to put portions of those tapes on cassettes. So we were designated to make that happen. We recorded from reel-to-reel to the cassettes so that Archibald Cox could have those cassettes and play them before the subcommittees. One of the interesting things about that was the cassettes. It was kind of a new technology, so that's why they wanted the cassettes, and they were much easier to handle, and he would designate specific parts of the reel-to-reel tapes that he wanted downloaded onto these cassette tapes, and that's basically what I did.
Vern shared a story with us of one of the harrowing adventures he shared with the Secret Service. In September of 1975, President Ford was in Sacramento, California for an overnight stay at the Senator Hotel. The normal procedure anytime a president travels includes an advance team at the location for days or even weeks prior to the president's arrival. In this case, Vern was a part of the advance team and performed the TSCM surveys in the hotel and coordinated the bomb sweeps as well. What happened on September 5th while President Ford was walking from the hotel to the Capitol was certainly not normal. As Vern followed President Ford by about 10 yards, Lynette Squeaky Fromm tried to assassinate President Ford. Special Agent Larry Boondorf was directly to the left of the president and quickly took Miss Fromm to the ground. At that point, the cover and evacuate took place. That is the Secret Service code for getting the president away from danger. The president was rushed to a safe room at the Capitol. This illustrates why the advances and continuous training the Secret Service undergo is so important. The advance team tries to plan for any and every contingency, in this case having the safe room and location known. Special Agent Boondorf's training was key, as he secured the would-be assassin and her weapon in seconds, averting a tragedy. There was not much downtime during Vern's working hours, and extensive travel was required. This job had a lot of pressure and stress, but in the end, Vern really enjoyed his years working for the United States Secret Service.
They're some of the greatest people in the world. I mean, it's a real can-do organization. You get an assignment and it can change from minute to minute, from hour to hour, but the people are great. Some of the most professional people you'd ever want to meet.
From leaving his family for weeks at a time, to the stress of copying the tapes that led to the only resignation of a U.S. president, while trying to protect some of the most important people in this world, Vern has never looked back nor regretted anything he did. He also has the utmost confidence in his training and knowledge and knew that he was doing the right thing. But with all of this, Vern never forgot his number one reason to stay motivated: his family.